All right, okay, as we talked about before, okay, one of our objectives is to determine that I can determine domain and range from functions and relations that are graphed. So we're looking at this right here, and these are functions or relations that are graphed. Okay, and so you should have this sheet printed out for you. Make sure you have one. If you don't, okay, we're going to look at domain, range, and whether these are functions or relations. Okay, relations. All right, I'm just going to rewrite that because I'm in a hurry. Okay, all right, so, and we're looking at functions or relations. So, with question, is it a function? Is it a range? And domain and range, this will make more sense in just a second. Okay, so as we talked about before, domain and range has something to do with an interval. All right, we're looking for an interval for our x values and are looking for our interval for our y values also. Okay, and as we talked about before, domain, we did this yesterday. Domain has to do with our inputs, our independent variables, and that's the numbers on the left side of this equation that we had. And the range has to do with the y values, which is the right side of this function table that we made. Okay. Now the actual original equation was y equals to 3x plus 5. Okay, that's the original equation that we wrote down right there. Okay, that's the original equation. Okay, okay, so here we're not worrying about what the equation is, but we just want to know, is it a function or a relation, and what is the domain and range? Okay, so let's go for function relation. Now we know, as we learned before, a function has to pass a vertical line test, and so does a relation. So I'm just going to take anything that's a straight edge. This is kind of like a card that I bought some parts from Home Depot from, and I'm going to use this as a straight edge. Okay, it can be a ruler, it can be your your ID card, whatever. All right. And so if a vertical line, if we look at, and that has to do on this graph, the y-axis, as you can see right here, this is kind of our starting point. This is what we call a vertical line. The x-axis is what we call a horizontal line. So if we're comparing for vertical lines, we want to look at all these other little lines that are dotted or dashed. These are all vertical lines here going as we go across this coordinate plane, all right? And so vertical line there, vertical line there. Okay, there's our y-axis once again. Okay, so as I move this, I can tell that this vertical line with this card only touches the curved graph, only one time as I move it to each vertical line. Since it only touches it one time, this is a function. Functions only get one touch as we do what we call the vertical line test. All right. Now, in comparison, we go over here. When I put this doing the function test as I move it over, when I get to here, I have 3 touches. Okay. This vertical line touches here, here, and here. So there's 3 touches on this same vertical line. This is not a function. Functions only have 1 touch. Relations have 2 or more touches. All right. So, okay. So let's put an extra line up here, and let's put function. Okay. Put a question mark. And this one is yes. All right. Put function again here. And this one is no. Okay, this is not a function because it fails the vertical line test. This is a function because it passes the vertical line test. Okay, now for the domain and range. As we said before, the domain has to do with our x values. Domain inputs, independent variables, are all x values. Outputs, range, has to do with our y values. So let's go over here. Look at our x axis. Okay, this is where we get our x values from. So now, kind of using this vertical line idea, the point farthest to the left on this curved graphed line is right there. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to make a mark exactly above the farthest point. Now, since this is closed, I'm going to make a closed mark right there. All right, you see what I did? The point all the way to the left, I did it. Now I'm going to do the same thing as I slide over all the way to point all the way to the right. And I'm going to do the same thing. Since this is a closed circle here, I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to mark this one and make it closed. So now everything in between, including the dots, are our x values. Okay, so we write that, and so we know that this first number right here is a 1 because there's 2, 3, 4. So this is 1. So we're going to put 1 down here. And then our number farthest to the right is between 6 and 8. So it's a 7. Put a 7 over here. So it's all the values in between. All right. Since it's closed, remember that in our kind of mini warm-up right here, if it's closed, it gets the equal sign. If it's not closed, it gets the inequality without the equal sign. Okay, so this means that x is any number greater than 1. All right, so we're going to include the equal sign because it's closed there and it's closed there. It's closed over here on the right, closed down here. Okay, so this tells us what we do here. So this also gets the equal sign for the 7. So x is any number between 1 and 7, including 1 and 7. Now for our range, we do the same thing. Instead of doing the vertical line, it's not really a vertical line test anymore. We're just using a vertical line to help us determine what to put. We're going to do a horizontal line. We're going to go from the highest point, which is -2, to the lowest point, which is -14. So both of these are closed also. So at -2, I'm going to put a closed circle. Try a different pen. Okay, at -2, I'm going to put a closed circle. And at -14, I'm going to put a closed circle. Okay, make a make a line between the two. All right, and that is our y. This is our y values or our range. Okay, so I'm going to put this in red. So the lowest number is -14. Our highest number is a -2. So we're going to put -14 and -2 on the outside. We're going to put not an x, but a y, because this has to do with the y values. Okay, so we're going to put not an x, but a y. Now, since both of these are closed, we close them here also. So we also do the same thing. We put y is greater than or equal to -14, and it's less than or equal to -2. So the y values range from here. Domain values go from 1 to 7, including that. So that's our domain and range. And is it a function? We already said that because of the vertical line test. All right, as we move this all the way across, okay, so vertical line, done. All right, let's see, and I'll do one more over here. And let's see what else. Okay, so now, is it a function? We already said no because it fails the vertical line test. At this vertical line, we have 3 touches once again. 1, 2, 3. So it is not a function. It is actually a relation. So we will call this a relation and not a function, but no, it is not a function. Okay, but we can still get domain and range off of this. Now, if we'll notice, this circle is open and this circle is open. So as we use our vertical line for the x values, whoops, okay, this goes down to 3, and this goes all the way over to 24. So I'm going to put an open circle at 3 and 24 like that. Okay, and I'm going to shade it in. These stay open. The same idea for the y. The lowest point, if we just use our horizontal line, takes us to 2 and 14, but I'll show you with this as well. Okay, it goes from 2 all the way up to 14, all right? So using a different color, and it's going to be open and open up here. Since these are open, we repeat the same thing here, and we shade in between these 2 points on the y-axis. All right, and so our values go from 3 to 24. If we're writing 3 and 24, x goes in the middle. Since they're open, we do not put equal signs on our inequalities. So x is greater than 3, but less than 24. It goes from here. All right, that's the domain values for our range. The lowest number is 2. It starts at 2, goes up to 14. So we're putting 2 here, 14 here, y in the middle. All right, once again, they're both open, so we keep our inequalities without the equal sign, meaning that it's open. And we have to be careful. Okay, the lowest number is 2, the highest number is 14, so we go from 2 to 14. Y is greater than 2, but less than 14, so to make sure we get these correct. All right, okay, stopping here, and I'm running out of time on my phone too. All right, come back.